thank you to all of our witnesses. It's clear from those of you who have participated today that 50 years later, we're in agreement that ISDA is not only good, it's important, and it has led to a level of empowerment and self-determination that we see not just in words, but in practice on the ground, making a difference, whether you're in Oklahoma or you're in Alaska and other parts around the country. I want to ask you, first off, Mr. Bellmard, Mr. Spann has just kind of outlined some recommendations here in terms of ways to move forward to ensure that the vision of ISDA really does move forward. And we recognize that so much of what happens on the ground requires that a level of processing, if you will. You've got to have folks that are in the department, so you have to have adequate staffing, you have to have adequate funding. Both DOI and HHS have undergone and are undergoing workforce reorganizations. We've seen retirements and resignations of staff, probably with some pretty institutional knowledge that are no longer in place. And I've been hearing tribal leaders express some frustration that Interior is not timely in its response for requests for information or in self-governance negotiations. So can you share with the committee how many FTEs your agency staff has been reduced since the beginning of this administration? Do you have those numbers?
I don't have those exact numbers, but and thank you for the question, Senator. What we have done in our hallway with self-governance is we've moved our offices directly into our hallway across from where I'm at, so I can monitor our self-governance activities. We are always undergoing attempts to train our staff sufficiently. We send people out on negotiations every time we have a request. And as far as any kind of effective diminution in any activities, we have not seen that as far as what we've been told. Our staff has a sense of urgency, and we ask them to comport with the ideas embodied in ISDA.
Well, let me then ask perhaps you, Chief Hoskin. You have cited to many of the successes. Are you having challenges with regards to any self-governance negotiations, any delays coming out of the Department of Interior or within IHS specifically that we might want to share? This is an oversight hearing, so I appreciate that you're trying to make do with less oftentimes, but it'd be helpful if we had some examples of perhaps areas that we need to work on.
Well, thank you, Chairman. Our concerns right now are anticipatory based on sort of the unknown and the seeming instability that has occasioned these rifts. Self-governance is not about the wholesale transfer of governmental functions. It's about the meaningful transfer, and the meaningful transfer has to include technical assistance. And so if we're seeking technical assistance and we know there's been a rift, we do have concerns that in the future, as we need to lean in and ask for assistance, that the assistance will be slower to come. We know that the additional administrative burdens, and Jay Spahn spoke to those, means that there may be more occasions to reach out and say, are we compliant with these new anti-DEI standards, for example? We need to know that. More burdens and less staff logically means inefficiency from our standpoint. So that is sort of an anticipatory concern as we get further into this administration.
Okay. Let me ask you another question, Mr. Bellmard, as to whether or not you are taking steps to change your payment mechanism so that funds transfer directly to tribes like they do in IHS? Is that something that you're working on within the department?
Yes, thank you for the question. In fact, there were some issues earlier this year with through the Treasury Department and the payment requirements. There was a requirement for justifications on each of those payments. As soon as we got that information, we began negotiating with Treasury, and we have an agreement in principle with Treasury that, of course, being the government, we have to work through that requirement for justifications will, once there is an actual list of all the recipients of self-governance funds, justifications will no longer be required for those payments to be executed.
So it will be similar to what we see at IHS.
Yes.
Thank you. Senator Shaw.